Nobody came. Balloons curled in the heat. Pizza boxes untouched. A unicorn cake that took me 6 hours to decorate? Still perfect. Untouched. My daughter sat in the backyard wearing a paper crown and a white dress she picked herself. Every 10 minutes, she looked at the gate. Then up at me. Then down at her glittery shoes. 11 candles. No guests. Not even a text. I swallowed the lump in my throat and knelt beside her. Maybe they got lost, I said softly. She nodded, but I knew better. Because this wasn't the first time. They didn't forget. They chose not to come. A week later, my phone pinged.
Mom.
The same woman who didn't call, didn't show, didn't even like the photo I posted. Text message. You're invited to Eliza's Sweet 16. Theme, luxury lavender. $2,100 per person. Venmo me. No apology. No explanation. Not even a fake excuse. I stared at the screen, fingers trembling, pulse flatlining into fury. That night, I sent exactly $1. Memo. Congratulations. That's all you'll ever get from me again. Then I changed the locks. Blocked every number. Erased every group chat. 3 days of silence. Then, 2 days later, I opened the door in pajamas and a robe, to flashing lights. 2 police officers. Ma'am, are you redacted? We received a complaint from your mother. My stomach flipped. I blinked once, then stepped aside, calm as ever. Because this time I wanted a record. I'm sorry, what was the complaint? I asked. The officer checked his clipboard. She says you're withholding family funds and threatening to blackmail. I blinked. Blackmail? I hadn't said a word. I just sent a single $1. That's when I understood. They weren't mad about the money. They were mad about the silence. I invited them with open arms to my daughter's party. They ghosted us again. And now they wanted me to fund their $100 play ego parade?
No.
Not this time. I have receipts, I said, stepping back inside. I handed the officer my phone.
Group chats.
Voicemails. The text asking for Venmo. My blocked call log. The officer scrolled, then glanced at me with a slow, tight-lipped nod. I'll file this as a civil dispute, ma'am. Not criminal. They left without another word. I closed the door and collapsed against it, not from fear, but release. It hit me like a wave. They really would have let me fund their lives forever. As long as I kept my mouth shut. As long as I smiled. As long as I kept swallowing my daughter's tears and saying, they love us. They're just busy. Not anymore. I made 2 calls that afternoon. To my lawyer, asking about trust restructuring. To my therapist, asking for help navigating toxic detachment. But the third call, that came at 7:44 p.m. My cousin Mia, whispers in her voice. They're planning something. I overheard your mom and aunt talking about ruining your reputation before the Sweet 16. My heart paused. I looked out the window and quietly said, let them try. This time, I'm documenting everything.
I didn't sleep that night.
Neither did my daughter. She sat cross-legged on the couch, sketching quietly in her notepad, eyes dimmer than usual. I asked what she was drawing. A party, she mumbled, where people show up. I nearly broke, but I didn't. Instead, I stood, kissed her forehead and whispered, we'll make one. The next day, I drove straight to the Garnet Ballroom, the exact venue my family had booked for the niece's $100 head Sweet 16. It was still under pending final payment. I asked the manager what the refund policy was if the pair backed out. She raised an eyebrow. Then I showed her the lease. They had used my business credit as backup collateral.
Classic.
I smiled. I'd like to assume the reservation, I said. Same date, new event. I paid in full. Venue, mine. Date, mine. Guest list? Every kid who had ever been overlooked, uninvited, or treated like an afterthought. We named it the Golden Ones Gala. I even got a cake vendor to recreate the original Sweet 16 order. Except this time, the frosting would read, to the ones they left behind. By Thursday, invitations were out.
Custom-made.
Hand-delivered. No Venmo required. Just presence. That evening, my sister texted, "Did you really hijack our event?" Then Mom called, "Fix this, or I'll make you regret it." I replied with a screenshot of my contract and a single caption. "You should have read the fine print before writing me off." Outside, my daughter stuck stars on the ceiling and whispered, "Do you think they'll come?" I smiled and said, "They don't need to." Because this time, the celebration wasn't for them. The night of the gala arrived like a secret the sky was keeping. Every inch of the garnet ballroom shimmered in gold and soft blues, a magical blend of elegance and innocence.
Kids trickled in shyly at first.
Some wore hand-me-downs. Some wore borrowed suits. Every single one wore the look of someone who thought no one remembered them. Until now. My daughter, in a glittery blue dress and tiny silver flats, stood at the entrance with a clipboard. "Welcome to the Golden Ones Gala," she whispered with a smile. Then came the moment that stopped everything. 3 people walked through the door, not invited. My mother, my sister, and my niece still dressed for her sweet 16. They paused at the entrance like they owned it. I calmly stepped forward. "Sorry, this is a closed event." "You can't be serious," Mom hissed. "This was supposed to be our party." I smiled, reached into my clutch, and handed her something. A glitter-covered envelope. Inside, a printed screenshot of her original invite, the Venmo request, and my $1 reply. "Looks like you already got your celebration," I said and turned away. Security didn't need prompting. They didn't yell. They simply redirected. As the doors closed behind them, my daughter stood beside me, watching. "Was that rude?" she asked softly. "No," I said. "That was called boundaries." By 9 p.m., a video of the gala had gone viral. One of the guests, a local teen vlogger, live-streamed everything. Caption: "The most beautiful party I've ever been to, and none of her family came. Except the one that mattered." Comments flooded in. My phone buzzed with messages. But for once, I didn't check them. Because inside this ballroom, my daughter was seen. And that was worth far more than $2,100 a head. By morning, the messages turned to threats. "You embarrassed us publicly. Delete that video. We were family before this circus." I ignored everyone. What they didn't know was this. I didn't post the video. The teen who did? Her father was a local reporter, and his morning article headlined, "Single Mom Throws Party for Overlooked Kids, Turns Her Daughter's Pain into Joy." Then came the interviews, the podcast features, even a small grant from a local nonprofit who wanted to sponsor next year's gala. My daughter asked shyly, "Can we do it again?" I said yes, but with one condition. No guest lists with people who treat your pain like it's invisible. She nodded. And that's when it happened. 2 days later, a police car pulled into my driveway. My heart dropped. My daughter's fingers wrapped around mine, her eyes wide. I stepped outside. "Ma'am, we received a report of suspected fraud and child endangerment from a family member," the officer said, reading off a complaint. My chest clenched. Child endangerment? The same woman who mailed me a $2,100 invoice now wanted the state to punish me for joy? I asked one question. Was the report anonymous? The officer hesitated, then said, "Not exactly." He handed me a name. My mother's name. My pulse steadied. I looked him in the eye. "Would you like to see the event footage, officer? Or the article? Or the verified receipts? I have everything logged." He nodded slowly. "Actually, yes. That would help a lot." I opened the door. Behind me, my daughter whispered, "Is this because of the party?" I crouched down. "No, sweetie. This is because sometimes love makes people bitter when they can't control it." And today, I wasn't controlled. The officer sat on my couch with a pen, a notepad, and a surprising softness in his voice. He watched the video of the party, balloons, music, tables with hand-labeled names for kids no one else celebrated. He glanced at my daughter, playing quietly in the next room, coloring a picture of her and me under a big rainbow. "Ma'am," he said, "I apologize. We get these kinds of calls, sometimes vindictive reports meant to intimidate." I nodded, pushing a folder toward him. Inside, every receipt, background check on the volunteers, parental permissions, even allergy disclosures signed by guardians. He flipped through them. Then his eyes paused on one name. "Your mother claimed she paid for the event," he said slowly. I didn't laugh. Instead, I handed him a copy of the Venmo transaction. $1 sent from me, with the note. "Congratulations." He blinked, then smirked. "I see." When he stood to leave, he handed me a copy of the official report form. "This is now on record as a false claim. If they escalate, you're covered." I walked him to the door. Before leaving, he looked at me, really looked, and said, I've seen a lot of messy families, but not many people clean the mess with kindness." I shut the door after he left and leaned against it. My phone buzzed again. This time, a message from my niece, the sweet 16 girl. "Auntie,
I didn't know what they did.
can I still come over?" And that cracked something open. Not every seed grows bitter in a rotten garden. I texted her back.
Yes.
"But bring your own glitter." That night, we sat under fairy lights, my daughter teaching her cousin how to make balloon crowns. There was no music, no photographer. Just real, untidy healing. 2 days later, my mom showed up. Not with flowers. Not with regret. But with a printed spreadsheet and a pen. "Listen," she started, walking right into my living room. "I've itemized everything. The party, the decorations, the food. If you just pay $1,050, you'll be invited again next year. It's fair." I didn't blink. Behind her, my daughter sat quietly on the staircase, hugging the same stuffed bunny from the birthday party no one came to. Mom noticed.
"She's too sensitive," she snapped.
That's the real issue here. I didn't say a word. Instead, I walked to the kitchen drawer and pulled out a small pink envelope. It still had glitter from my daughter's party. I handed it to her. Inside, a printed photo of the empty backyard, party hats scattered on chairs, and one candle lit on a cake that said, "You are loved." "She waited 3 hours," I whispered. "In her crown. By the front door." My mother didn't open the photo. She just said, "It's not always about your feelings. Family is messy, but you don't turn your back." I looked at her. "No," I said softly, "but sometimes you close the door before the mess ruins what you've built." She scoffed.
"So this is it?"
"You're going to exile us." I smiled gently. "I'm not exiling anyone. I'm protecting someone." Then I opened the door. She stood still for a moment. Then, without looking at me, she walked out. No screaming. No dramatics. Just the quiet realization that access had expired. That night, I deleted the group chat, changed my daughter's emergency contact to my best friend, and ordered glitter paper to send thank you notes to every vendor who stayed that rainy day, even when no one showed up. Some parties aren't for guests. They're for guardians of joy. Say, next for the final part, where poetic justice lands quietly, like a birthday wish whispered over an uncut cake. A week passed before I heard the knock again. But this time, it wasn't police. It was a courier, standing with a clipboard and a small, sealed envelope. Inside was a formal letter from my mother's attorney. "Your refusal to contribute financially to the Sweet 16 event has caused emotional and reputational damage. We're requesting a settlement of $2,100 to resolve this matter amicably." I read it 3 times. Then I laughed. Loudly. Honestly. My daughter looked up from her coloring book. "Is it another joke, Mom?" I nodded, kneeling beside her. The kind that only gets funnier with time. That evening, I typed a single-page response on crisp ivory paper. "Dear Counsel, I respectfully decline. Please inform your client that emotional damage cannot be claimed from those who never showed emotional presence." Attached is a Venmo screenshot of the $1 payment sent, with my final congratulations. Also attached, a photo of an 11-year-old girl blowing out candles in a backyard, surrounded by no one but hope. She deserved better. She will get better. This matter is closed. Do not contact me again. I signed it.
Sealed it. Sent it.
And for the first time in years, my heart felt weightless. Later that night, My daughter found an old invitation from her party. It still had glitter. Should we throw another one? She asked. I smiled. Only if you want to.
She grinned.
Only if it's just us. So we did. Just the two of us. A cake and fairy lights strung in the hallway. She wore her crown again. And when she fell asleep, cheeks sticky with frosting, I whispered, "You are not anyone's backup. You are not invisible. You are the guest of honor in your own life."